All right. Hey, welcome. This is the Genesee County Compassion Club show. My name is Jeremy. I'm your host. I'm coming to you live from allpointstv.com. Thanks for joining me today. Going to be talking about all kinds of stuff, mainly medical marijuana. That's what we cover here. We've got topics in the news. We've got, 2 men with 12 pounds busted. We got cops busted with brownies. Top 5 reasons seniors should smoke. Got lawyers here in Michigan are saying MI legalized is not done. New York City pot arrests are up, and we also have a new segment of 120 seconds. Got that and more up on the show today. Just want to give you a little preview of things to come. Also going to let you know what's been happening down at the Genesee County Compassion Club, and we're going to get it on. How's everybody doing today? John, got you in the studio?
Yeah, I'm doing really well.
All right, man.
Loving this hot weather.
You're loving the hot weather?
Yep.
All right, well, at least somebody's loving it. Yeah,
it's like, it's only, a couple of weeks out of the year or so.
It's been a couple months out of this year.
I love it. I'm serious. It's like, I hate winter. I'm glad for this.
I think there's a lot of people that would resonate with you.
I'd rather never see winter again.
I like all the seasons, but I got to tell you, the heat is definitely wearing on me. I'll be glad when, fall comes in. So, but at any rate, yes, it is hot and it is humid. So make sure you're drinking lots of water. Make sure you're giving your plants lots of water if you've got stuff that's growing outside, no doubt. I've been hearing some different reports from outdoor growers, and they're telling me that things are a little bit shorter than normal, extra bushy this year, and that's probably a result of the additional heat that we've had. And, right now you should be going into flower, or hopefully your stuff is already in flower at this point. But I know a lot of folks are waiting for that to happen. So if you're up early in the mornings or out late at night, you've noticed obviously our days are getting shorter. So it should be kicking in that flowering season. If it hasn't happened, stay tuned. Check your plants out, all right? And now's the time when you want to be out there in your garden, making sure you don't have those dreaded hermaphrodites, the stuff that's got the male seed sacs. Right now you want to be looking for those little yellow flowers on your buds, seeing if anything like that's popping out. If you see anything like yellow dust, you've got pollen, all right? So that's what you don't want, obviously, unless you're trying to get seed in your weed. If you want that sensimelia, as we know, that means basically female flowers without seed in it, for all of you people that didn't know. But anyways, if you're looking for the goody good, you want to make sure you get those males out of there, and now's the time when you want to make sure you're checking your garden. So
when I was in junior high, that was a big thing. Everybody wanted sensimelia. I don't know.
Because that means it doesn't have seed in it.
That's the reason. I guess when you're burning it, it pops or something like that.
Yeah, nobody wants to smoke seeds, John.
Well, I didn't know, but
John doesn't know. He's not a consumer. He's not a patient.
But it's like, all I know is that it was a big thing. Like sensimelia, I got some sensimelia, and there was like bragging. It was like a rite of passage. If you got that, you got a good source.
Nowadays, it's the opposite. If you came in, if you have medical marijuana and you find seeds in it, it's almost a rarity nowadays. Some people even get excited because they're like, oh wow, it's a seed, maybe I can propagate this myself and have that strain that I love now. But if it were only that easy.
Is that kind of a danger though? Because if you're depending so much on clones and stuff like that, something can devastate any kind of growing thing.
Kind of what I just said. If it were only that easy, it's not that easy. If you get a seed in your medical marijuana and it's just a lone seed, there's a good chance it was just a one-off, obviously. But it's not something you want to go run to the garden and just try to start germinating. It's typically going to have probably some type of hermaphroditic lineage. Obviously, it just came from a plant that was hermaphrodite, which meaning both having male and female parts. Basically, you have a good chance that it's going to have that too. So, I'm not saying don't do it if it's your only option, of course, but if you do, you got to make sure you watch it. Same thing like if you've got feminized seeds in the garden, like I said, outdoors right now, going into that flowering period, now's the time when you want to make sure you're double checking those and making sure that they are in fact indeed 100% female plants. So like I said, if you're there's a lot of good guides online. If you're not aware, you can go through. One of the books I like to use and refer to is the Grower's Bible, Jorge Cervantes. There's some pictures in there. You can check it out and see what you're looking for. But you can go to any resource online now pretty much and easily identify examples of plants that are either in their flowering stage or they are a female, clearly identified female or male plants. If you're having any type of questions as far as what do I got here, and one of those things is those plants that do turn out to be hermaphrodite, oftentimes they can start to exhibit those signs after they've already gone into flower for a couple weeks. So this is a process that you need to keep your eye on now for about a month long, really, until you're fully 100% sure that the plants that you have are in fact 100% flowering female plants. So just a little word to the wise. Now's the time you want to do that. So lots of water for those babies out there. Indeed, when you have all this heat going on, it's the number one thing you got to do. And also, of course, watch out for those bugs. And, we have been pretty fortunate this year. We haven't had a whole lot of powdery mildew. A lot of that is, in fact, due to the fact we've had this incredible heat and dryness going on. But a lot of times, I just want to give you a warning. If we do get to a period where we have, let's say, a series of days where there is rain repetitively happening, that can be the perfect environment for powdery mildew to spring up outdoors. And that's something that obviously you'd want to watch for your plants that you have, if you have plants outdoors, but also for you indoor gardeners, if you're out and about in the lawn, you could be picking up spores, bringing them back inside into your garden, and that's obviously something that you do not want to have inside of your garden is powdery mildew. So again, that happens oftentimes after you've had a long dry spell, and then all of a sudden you have a couple of period days of rain, and that just brings about those spores after that rain comes, and it can be a nightmare. So it can be devastating. So just make sure if we do get a whole lot of rain, which I know they're saying in the forecast here, well, actually the forecast this summer has been out of control. It's like they just flip a coin or they go outside blindfolded. I don't know, but if we hopefully we do get some rain, if we should in fact see that, and usually in the end of summer, fall, we do get some more. So when that happens, be watching, be prepared, get your neem oil out. It's a good thing. You can go out, give your plants a spray to make sure you're giving them a protective coating, and that's one of those things that you can do that's all natural, all organic, and it's not going to damage your plant. It's not going to have any effect on the end product. It'll be long gone by that time, but it will provide a protective coating, kind of like waxing your car in a sense. And there's a number of other products out there that you can use that are preventative, that are organic, and that are going to be healthy and actually going to be good things for your plants, stuff that you probably would want to use even if you weren't worried about powdery mildew. So check those out. Some of those things that you can do as well are things like Thrive. There's a lot of different products out there like fossil fuel, nitrozyme, things like this that are just boosters to the plant's health and immune system that I definitely recommend using and checking out further. And it's just good stuff to have. All right, let's get on with some events. We've got some stuff here at the Compassion Club happening. First thing I want to mention is our soup kitchen coming up on August 26th. It's a Friday as usual, but this time we're going to be doing it up a little bit special. So if you want to be a part of that, come on down to the soup kitchen on Friday, or come on down to the club first. We'll carpool over there. Either way, like I said, Friday, August 26th. Make sure you mark your calendars for that. It's going to be a good time, and we love serving down there at the North End Soup Charities. Next event I'm excited about, it's our golf outing. It is happening the 29th, which is a Monday, and this is going to be fun. It's at Copper Ridge. We're going to be doing 18 holes. We got the 4-man scramble. You get a cart, you get a steak dinner, hot dog at the turn, and there's going to be some prizes, silent auction, or stuff like that. We're also going to have some prizes for longest putt, and I believe what's the other one? I'm trying to think here. Closest to the pin. All right, so you golfing experts know all about that. I'm not that guy. But mark your calendars for that. Sign up now at the snack bar if you haven't already. Check it out. Tell your friends. You don't have to be an expert golfer to do this. It's all about supporting the charity, which is the Roar Foundation at Hurley Medical. Now, last week I was talking about this. I explained that Roar, what that is it's an organization that is built up by volunteers who are helping children get books in their hands when they're in time of trauma at the hospital, whether it be a family member that's there and they're stuck in the hospital, or they themselves are stuck in the hospital. And not only are we giving them books, but the Roar Foundation also provides volunteers who actually sit, take time with the child, read the book to them. And that really has a profound impact on children, and it's something that really does not occur a lot today. It's good for their educational being, and it's also good for their soul. It's just to have somebody spend time with you and to read to you. It's a beautiful thing, and it's also something that is beautiful for the parents sometimes, so they can get away, do what it is they need to do, have somebody still there with the kid. This is a fantastic program, and it's something that really, I don't know that it would not exist without us. I know that we have helped out massively last year. This golf outing really did a lot for them, and we're definitely privileged to be able to do this again and to be a part of this organization. So again, that's the Hurley Roar Foundation, and the money from this outing is going to support that. So like I said, if you're not a great golfer, who cares? Come on down, have a good time, and support the charity. Eat some steak, rock out with your friends. We've got all kinds of sponsors helping out with this, grow stores from around the county helping out, which we greatly appreciate, and we're going to promote and let them know that we love them too. This is a big community, so let's spread the love. All right. That is, again, the 29th of August. All right, let's get on with some news. We got some crazy stuff in the news going on. Thankfully, a lot of it is not happening here in Michigan, but I will start with what is happening in Michigan, which might be much ado about nothing. I don't really know, but I'm just here to bring the news to you guys. You can decipher for yourself. The MI Legalized campaign, I know we talked about this a lot on the program over the last year, so if you've been watching, you should already know what that's all about. It's about making pot legally, recreationally available. All right, period. For adults 21 and over, it's what it is. There was a petition that went around. They collected a whole heck of a lot of signatures, actually more than what the state requirement is. And the debate is whether or not they should be able to use those signatures, because some of those were collected outside of the 180-day window that is provided by the state. So, are the older signatures still valid, or are they not? That's the question. And right now, the case, or the suit that has been brought on by the attorneys that are backing up this campaign is right now, it's in the court of, let me check my notes here, court of claims. All right, court of claims. I was going to say court of appeals, but I knew that wasn't right. So anyways, they've got a court case going on about this. They're saying, hey, look, we should be able to use signatures that are older. They are valid. We can prove it, and we should have the ability to do that. We should have the ability to have this on the ballot for voters to decide in November. Currently, right now, the state's saying, no way, Jose, ain't going to happen. Even if the judge says yes, there's not enough time to get this done, and that's their story. So we'll see what happens. The case is before a judge. It's going to get looked at here shortly, and I'll be sharing that news and information about what happens with the judge with you guys, let you know. And if there is some chance that it's going to be on the ballot, then of course we want to do everything we can to let people know about it so that they can make that decision for themselves. I'm sure I know what your decision is going to be. All right, so hopefully we get to choose. That's what democracy is all about. There was a law that was passed by our state legislators that limits any future ballots from exceeding that 180-day guideline. It also limits their ability to use any future technologies or currently available technologies to validate signatures that may be older than 180 days, which I think that's preposterous. We should be using the most current, up-to-date forms of signature ballot collection methods possible. I mean, we need to know if our voters out there, if the constituents, the population in general is saying, hey, look, this is something we want. It's not getting dealt with by our legislatures, whatever you want to call them. It's not getting done. And we, the people, want to have this done. There's been other laws that have been passed that way. Of course, our medical marijuana law here in Michigan was one of them. So obviously these can be good things, and I really think that the power should always be to the people. That's what I believe. So if you believe that too, keep your eyes peeled on this story, because it really does talk about more than just medical marijuana or more than just marijuana. It's about the direction of what we should have available to us as a population when it comes to making our own decisions. And your state limited that down. That's what it is. They passed that law. The governor signed it. It's a done deal. So future ballots are going to have to go by that rule, no questions asked. This was done before that period, so you get the whole grandfather clause thing going on. So it's kind of a mess, but I do wish them the best, and I'm going to keep you guys informed as to what happens. Again, that's the Court of Claims, MI Legalized campaign. Stay tuned. All right. Other stories we got going on here. A man in Bay City, Michigan, is going off the hook. He's suing. Let me pull this up here. Excuse me. He is suing, I believe, the city of Bay City. Let me see here. If I can find the story for you, I apologize. Where did I see that at? Now it's eluding me, of course. All right, I'll come back to that story in a minute. Let me move on to the next one here. This one's kind of interesting. This is for our state to the south, which is Ohio. As you know, as we reported here on the podcast, Ohio did pass a medical marijuana law through their legislature. This was after they turned down the legalized campaign that didn't go through last year. So the legislature turned back around and passed their own medical marijuana law. It's pretty strict, stringent program, state-run, all that. It's not going to be a big dispensary type of thing going on. It's going to be, state picks who gets to grow, where it gets to be done, all that and the other. So anyways, I just don't want to get your hopes up and have you go running for the border. That's all. Anyways, back to the story here. Ohio is currently hiring a pot expert. So maybe some of you in the club would, are looking for a new venue. Maybe you love Ohio. Maybe you're a big Cedar Point fan. I don't know. But at any rate, they are hiring and they are looking for a pot expert. Apparently, they are trying to put their program together. They obviously don't have it together yet, and they are looking for someone to assist them with the cultivation of marijuana. I don't know that you'd be directly growing marijuana for the state. I think what this job listing is actually, according to the article here, is for a contractor who has specialized industry knowledge in the development of the rules and regulations impacting cultivators of medical marijuana. So they're probably looking for some type of an attorney who's an expert in marijuana. I'm sure there's quite a few of those here in Michigan. Maybe you could get yourself a little extra subcontract work down working for the state of Ohio. All right, so anyways, that's it. That's what that is. It goes. The program is supposed to go into effect September 8th, so they better hurry up. It's kind of interesting. A lot of the state's programs, just so you guys know, if you weren't aware, they get these laws passed, and it takes, sometimes in some cases, it has taken a couple years to actually get medical marijuana where it's supposed to be going after the law has been passed. So us in Michigan were fortunate that a portion of the bill that we passed had a clause in it that said, hey, state, when this gets done, you've got 120 days to get this program rolling. Not get it together, get it rolling. And they did. It was a little rough at first, albeit, but at any rate, they did get it rolling. And, Ohio, I don't think they have the same type of guidelines as far as their deadlines go. But at any rate, at least they are trying to move forward, and hopefully the folks that need medical marijuana in Ohio will be able to get that somewhere in the near future. All right, moving on here. Got some other stories I want to share with you guys. Pull up this one here. All right, this is dealing with our state's program. And we've talked about this a little bit on the show, and I want to bring it to light because we might see something of this in the future that we want to pay attention to. What this is dealing with the fees that are collected from our program, the Michigan Medical Marijuana Program. What is being done with those fees? The issue is that currently the state's collecting these fees. As you know, it's $60 for every 2 years. They do a background check and they send you out a card. That's basically what the state does. They call your doctor to make sure you actually were there, verify the visit, and that's it. Send the card out. So there's not a lot of cost involved in that. Of course, previously the fees were higher. They were $100 in some cases and $25 in others. I will defend that. But at any rate, when they switched over to the new 2-year program, they also switched the fee, and again, now it's $60 with, I believe, an additional fee for the caregivers as well. Anyways, getting back to my point here, the point is that the state is collecting these fees, and it is more than what it costs for the state to run the program. So by right, they have excess monies being put into their funds or into their coffers because of the Michigan Medical Marijuana Program. What they're doing with that money is they are appropriating it back out to police departments. By law, this was supposed to happen, so this shouldn't be a shock or surprise to anyone. But the shock and surprise is how it's being used by said police departments. We've got reports basically showing that these police departments are using, in fact, these funds, which are being granted by LARA from the Michigan Medical Marijuana Program. They're using these funds to buy things such as, like assault vehicles, more bulletproof vests, laptop computers, things of this nature. And the unfortunate part is that I'm sure our police officers need a lot of equipment and so on, and they don't have it. That's the unfortunate part. The more unfortunate part is that these funds, by law, were supposed to be used specifically for the administration of the medical marijuana program. And I do not believe that it is within the program's guidelines to be using the funds for these types of materials. It seems to be, in fact, quite the opposite of what most patients are looking to from their police. I know most patients out there that are law-abiding patients are obviously not looking to get their doors busted in, and just because they're getting new equipment doesn't mean that's happening. But the problem is that there are obviously needs that need to be addressed within the police departments as far as their administration with medical marijuana that could be handled by these funds, such as maybe like educational programs or seminars, pamphlets, materials that would address how our police encounters should happen according to the police. And so far, I have not seen any guidelines issued from the state, from our Attorney General, from the police departments, or anything like that. Maybe the Prosecuting Attorneys Association, whatever it may be, that could be responsible enough to step up and say, hey, all right, because this is a permissible thing allowed by law, here's how it should be handled when there is an encounter, and a police officer needs to determine whether or not someone is law-abiding or not. Because the process that currently is being used oftentimes is to put the person, the person that's being arrested, in a sense, put them through the court system, or in fact start by arresting them and letting the court figure it out. And that is obviously not the way our justice system is supposed to function. Citizens are not supposed to be guinea pigs of the law to figure out whether or not they're being compliant or abiding, and things should be clear. So in order to provide that clarity, obviously this is something that we could provide directly to law enforcement, and all I'm saying is I haven't seen anything like that. I don't believe that's been done, and instead we're using the money to go out and buy things like assault vests, assault vehicles, laptops, things like this. And that just doesn't coincide with what this money was supposed to be used for. So what I'm asking for is a little accountability from our state, from our LARA department, which is a department that's responsible for the cards, for the program, for the monies, and so on, to step up and to direct that these funds are allocated in a proper way. If they are not, and this continues to go on the way it is, there could potentially be some type of lawsuit come up. All I'm letting you know is that you need to be aware, because I would think that that would affect every single person that's ever participated in the program, because in a sense, you have put your money to that, so by right, you would be involved in this matter. And, I think, like I said, I know that police need equipment to do their job. It's not about trying to take that away from them. It's about simply, when additional monies are generated and created for a specific purpose, holding the governmental bodies that are responsible for that accountable to actually make sure that they ensure that they allocate these funds out properly and for what they are intended for. And I think that we've seen that misplacement go on in all levels of government, whether it be in our educational programs, our water management programs. I mean, you name it, there is mismanagement of our funds going on here. And when we're in times where we have obviously a lack of resources when it comes to governmental funds and revenues, we need to be all that more stringent and all that more careful about what we are doing with that money. And it seems like there's a gap, a permissible gap allowed by us on our government to just do what they want. And we need to start, here's one area, there's probably a whole list of others that people could point out, but we need to be more accountable with our tax revenue dollars so that we can make sure we're getting the things that we as a society said, hey, we want this, we're willing to pay for it. Oh, and then turn around and find out 7-8 years later, you're not getting that. That needs to stop. So, all right. Moving on here, got other stories I want to share with you. I know that one just kind of hits a sour note, and obviously, no kidding. I mean, it is almost to be expected, unfortunately. But these types of things here, they at least need to be called out. So I wanted to bring it to your attention. All right, I got other stories here I want to bring up to you. Let's move on here. We've got the car hop. Excuse me. This is from KeyTV.com. This is cop charged with brownies and cookies, selling brownies and cookies. What do you know? Austin police arrested Sonic car hop for allegedly selling marijuana, brownies, and candy to Sonic customers. Trey Clay Wallace, 26, was charged with possession of a controlled substance with intent to deliver. Austin police received a tip. Excuse me. Our internet's going buggy. Hold on. Austin police received a tip via email about a white male who worked at Sonic Drive-In restaurant located in the Village. The sender said a white male who was on probation was selling marijuana brownies and cookies while working as a car hop. Upon further research, officers found a police call for service about people they believed to be employees smoking marijuana at the same location. A criminal clerk. My gosh, my internet is going nuts. Criminal clerk showed Wallace was on probation in Williamson County for possession of a controlled substance, and the narcotic unit was then assigned. Court documents revealed detectives found out Wallace was staying at a hotel. This just keeps getting worse. In North Austin. And investigators observed Wallace leaving the hotel in his uniform carrying 2 large bags and a backpack. Wallace got pulled over after failing to stop. And the narcotics officer conducted a thorough search of his vehicle and found the stash, essentially. So, looks like this guy was working undercover, selling brownies at a Sonic. and then the other unit turned around and busted him. I don't know. So anyways, his Wallace's bond is set at $50,000. Says here he's been working at Sonic Lamplight Village for the past 5 months and been selling drugs since. So maybe this police officer was doing a little moonlighting at the Sonic Burger with a little extra on the side, and he got popped. Who knows? Who knows? Crazy stuff here.
Just goes to show you the government always wants to stop enterprising people. See, that's all it is.
He was an entrepreneur. Yeah. Guy had like 4 jobs in one. Sonic Burger. All right, I'm hungry. All right, here's the next story. Kenner narcotic detectives acting on a tip seized more than 12 pounds of marijuana Monday night. Officers accused the men of trying to sell drugs, according to Lieutenant Brian McGregor, spokesman for Kenner Police Department. Investigators received information about 2 people would be in the area with a large amount of marijuana. Police conducted surveillance in the parking lot of the business in Monday until the silver Toyota Corolla, the car described by the tipster, arrived to the report. Blah, 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 blah. They got popped. All right. Borges was carrying 3 grams of cocaine in his wallet, while the other fella had a dosage of Suboxone. We all know what that is. They were booked with possession of marijuana, intent to distribute, possession of cocoa leaves, possession of marijuana, intent to distribute possession, drug possession, in lieu of $105,000 bonds. Cut to the chase, right? All right. So don't do that. Duh. All right. This is an interesting thing here. New York just passed their medical marijuana law last year, and since then appears that, well, marijuana arrests are up in New York City. That's the story of short right there. Go figure. I mean, marijuana in New York has been, like I said, has been legalized, but it's extremely limited. There's a very restricted access just for the doctors to be able to make recommendations, and even further restricted access for patients who will actually qualify for the program. It is also not any type of flower or edible form. I believe it's just oil form only. So this is similar to what we've seen gone through down in Florida, where they're looking with a CBD type oil only is the only substance that's being approved. And again, it doesn't give license for caregivers to go out and start growing CBD type plants. This is all government ran programs, state licensed, and is extremely strictly controlled. So not something that is really providing a whole lot of relief for a lot of people. It's a very narrow-minded type of market. So, and that's the same thing that's happening in New York. So you can imagine the rhetoric. A lot of folks are looking around the country thinking that, oh, well, over here it's completely legal, over here it's medical, and didn't we pass a medical marijuana law? And of course everybody starts lighting up thinking that it's not a big deal anymore, and unfortunately they become the brunt of an arrest. And I think it just alludes to the need for change in our society, that the average person out there doesn't think that marijuana should be illegal. In fact, there was another report that just came out recently and showed that the average adult, average 1 in 8 adults use cannabis. 1 out of every 8. So, I mean, this is obviously mainstream, widespread, and obviously it's not something that we should be wasting our tax dollars on, going after people and then putting them through the ringer. And that's not what we need to be doing. So New York needs to obviously further expand their medical marijuana program, which is there is current talk in their legislature about doing that. But I think they probably would need to expand it even further beyond whatever it is they're discussing. So this is interesting to watch the evolution of this across the country. It is unfortunate to see that people are still being captured in the crosshairs of law enforcement because of the lack and the delay of change needed at the legislature. I mean, that's just, we need to get up with the times, people. Speaking of that, here in Michigan, I know a lot of folks ask me the question, what's going on in Michigan with our medical marijuana law? There are rumors flying around like crazy as far as what's going to be proposed in the fall with regards to the bills that are currently still in the House and the Senate. I do not have any rock solid information for you right now. Most of our legislators have been on summer break, and so obviously nothing happens when they're not at work. But at any rate, when things do come up, we're going to share them with you right here on the podcast and keep you informed as to what gets proposed, what gets talked about, and where they are at in the process. So stay tuned on the podcast, and we'll definitely make sure you're aware of what's been happening. But currently right now, there's not a lot happening other than a lot of rumors. And so, in order to deter from that, because I don't like rumors, I'd rather just have facts, I'm not going to talk about those. But at any rate, we do need to keep our heads up. We do need to keep in contact with our legislators, like your state representative, your state senator. I mean, these people, they need to know that you exist, and they need to know what your feelings and opinions are. And if you haven't ever communicated that to them, now's the time. You can do it, because in the summer break time, oftentimes they'll do little town hall meetings, or they'll do a little breakfast thing. It's really informal, and it's a good idea to meet your local representative. It's not a big deal, and it doesn't take a long time. It's something to do. So I'd encourage you to do that if you haven't done that, and hopefully that way you can have more of an impact when you do have communication with them in the future. So, all right, see what else we got here. I think that's about it for the stories. Oh yeah, there was one more I wanted to go over. I thought this was kind of cool. It's the top 5 reasons why seniors should consider medical marijuana. And I know that we've got a pretty large base in our club, large membership, so obviously that includes a big demographic. And we do have a lot of seniors in our club that are members. So, but I think it's interesting to see that a lot of our seniors, that marijuana to them, it's nothing new. They've seen it, they've done it before, but they didn't do it with the sense of for medical purposes. Back in the day when they tried it out in the 60s or the 70s, and it was a college thing or a hippie thing, whatever it was a recreational thing is what it was. And then now they're obviously advanced in years, and the ailments are coming on. They're dealing with things physically that they haven't had to deal with before, and the alternative is right now is go to the doctor and get signed up for the next pain med prescription. And unfortunately, those are long-term, usually treatment paths, and a lot of times they come with horrible side effects, and a lot of things that could be avoided or just aren't necessary if you could just use cannabis. And so it's interesting to see seniors actually looking at this in a sense for the first time, as a treatment method, as a treatment alternative, or maybe as something that would go coincide with their doctor's current prescribed medications. Obviously, it's something you want to talk to the doctor about, but I think it is something for seniors to consider, and what this article is going about is obviously the top 5 reasons you should consider. So let's get started. This is from marijuana.com. You can check it out. Maybe it's something you want to share with grandma, but don't be scared. It's not the reefer madness that she was introduced to back in the old days. Number 1, marijuana. This number 1 reason, marijuana, after all, the propagation is not physically addictive. So that is a big benefit. Most of the prescription pain medications that are available at the doctor do come with some type of an addictive side effect. I mean, it's the nature of how their medicine works. It's the nature of the substances that they use to create that medication, and unfortunately, obviously, addiction is not something you want to deal with. If you don't need the medication, you feel good today, you want to be able to just set it down, walk away from it, don't use it, save money. Don't be drowsy, whatever it is that you want to do. And that should be something that you should be allowed to do. It's something that you should have the freedom physically to choose for yourself. And unfortunately, a lot of the opiate pain type medications don't work that way. You have to have it consistently supplied into your body in order to receive the correct benefit. A wave effect can be easily generated by having someone on opioid medications and they're not getting a consistent, steady supply of those. If they're maxing out one day and then nothing the next, the pain relief won't be there when they need it. And then when it does come, it's just going to completely knock them out, make them almost nearly comatose. And people don't want to feel that way. They want to be able to get up and enjoy life, especially our seniors. They know the value of life, and they want to get out there and continue to experience it. And you can't do that if you're knocked out on the couch with some type of oxycodone or whatever it is that they want to hook you up with. So it's nice to know that marijuana is not physically addictive. I can tell you personally, it is very easy to walk away from marijuana whenever you want to. I've been a cigarette smoker. I've drank alcohol. I can tell you that those things are far more addictive than marijuana, and you can really honestly say that marijuana is not physically addictive. I think you can be addicted to just about anything. You can be addicted to obviously things like coffee, but you might also be addicted to scratching your knee. It can be all kinds of things. Addiction is a crazy thing, but as far as the physical attachment to the substance of marijuana, it just is not there. Your body is not going to be craving it like it would other substances like caffeine or nicotine or alcohol or other things like opiate-based medication. So, all right, number 2 reason why seniors should consider marijuana is that it's safer. And I know that coincides with what I was just talking about. It is safer. There's no way you can overdose on it. It has very few side effects, if any. The side effects that are there are minimal. I mean, we're talking about cotton mouth and some hunger and maybe a nap. All right. Most people would welcome some of those side effects. All right. Number 3 reason You can use it as a substitution for prescription pharmaceuticals. I'm going to say that this is something you need to talk to about your doctor with. I know this article says that, obviously we should just get rid of all prescription medications, and I know that in reality not all of us can do that. Sometimes you need to have what your doctor is giving you. It's important, and you can't just get off it anyways, even if you wanted to. So that's something you want to discuss with your physician, but it obviously can be used as a substitute, and it can also replace those medications when done so properly. And in some cases it can be used right alongside with those other types of medications. I've had a number of patients where marijuana was not strong enough in the pain relief department for them, and they had to combine that with what their doctor was giving them. But when done so correctly, it provided a relief that was superior to anything else that they had experienced. And that really is what it's all about, is having that positive patient outcome. And that's what we really need to be focused on. I know that we're not physicians, most of us are not, as caregivers, and all we have to do is to go on anecdotal evidence. But in my opinion, I think sometimes that is the most accurate evidence that there is when that person is telling you what it is they feel or how they want something or don't want something. I mean, we need to listen to each other more than anything else.
Well, in medicine, I think, for medical, for medication, I think that's pretty much all they have to go by. I mean, pain is, how do you measure pain in the body?
Right.
How do you, so it's basically somebody reporting it to you. So.
Yeah, we have to have that communication to be able to understand, the patient and their needs.
Right, so I'd like to know that. I mean, somebody out there, if they can tell us if they can measure, maybe a brain map, and they can see where activities that are usually associated with receiving pain or, flaring up during the bouts of pain. Like,
sure.
Yeah, I'd like to see that, though. But I mean, I think it's all anecdotal. It's basically, it has to be.
Yeah, and it would be nice to have some sort of magical MRI that would exactly measure how much pain a person is feeling, and I'm sure doctors would go crazy for something like that. But I think more than anything, whether it is even if it's a placebo type pain, and the patient is crying out in pain, I mean, we need to address that, obviously, and their emotions are sometimes just as important as their physicality. It can control the physicality. So, all right, next thing on the list here, top 5 reasons for seniors to use marijuana. This one's kind of cool. It's talking about balms for mitigating arthritis and neuropathic pain. A lot of folks think that marijuana is something that you have to ingest either by eating, smoking, or whatever it is. No, it can also be used as a topical treatment when infused with the right type of materials. What you need to have is something that's fat soluble, so that way it'll soak up the marijuana goodness and it'll also deposit it right back into your body, which is what you need. And it's very effective. I've had a lot of folks tell me using different types of either ointments that were marijuana infused, oils, creams, tinctures even, that were applied directly to the skin and provide relief within a very brief period, sometimes as quick as 5 to 10 minutes, a noticeable improvement in flexibility, mobility, and sometimes a decrease in inflammation as well. So I'm not trying to sell you snake oil here, but I'm telling you this stuff actually works. I've had a lot of folks compare it to Aspercream without the nasty smell. It's got its own odor sometimes, but at any rate, it is a very effective way. It's something that is not going to get you high at all. It might show up on some type of a drug screen test, so I don't want to mislead anybody and think that you can just use this stuff and then not have trouble at work. It is something you still need to be concerned about that with, but it is an alternative for pain relief. And like I said, it does provide and improve mobility in the joints and in the bones. I've seen people use it on their knees, back, neck, elbows, you name it. And I've also seen it help with people's skin. So not only has it improved in their body internally, but also externally as well. So, and that might be in part to the oils and things that it was infused along with, but I think that also cannabis is actually beneficial for your epidermal layer as well, believe it or not. So, good stuff there. All right, number 5. Marijuana sparks up appetite and quality of life. And I gotta agree with that 100%, especially when you compare it to some of the other types of pharmaceutical alternatives out there when we're talking about pain medication. Again, a lot of those are just debilitating types. They're almost like downers in a sense. And even if they take the pain away, you just feel so demotivated that you don't want to do anything. And seniors don't want to feel that way. They want to get out and move. They value that more sometimes than us that still can get out and move, because they know what it's like to not have that ability. And so, the last thing you want to do is, give someone the ability to get away from pain and then have them be just immobilized because now they're knocked out from the drug that you gave them. They don't want that. And this is something that can provide that alternative to them. And give them not only the pain relief or the ability to ignore the pain, but give them also maybe a spark of inspiration, maybe a little bit of creativity, a little jump in their oomph. Get outside and move around, or even just sit at the table and maybe do some art, something wild and crazy like that. Things that will inspire and motivate the soul, sort of awaken the brain, if you will. That's very valuable to our seniors, as a lot of times they don't get a lot of stimulation. So this is something that can help provide that in addition to all the other wonderful things that it does. So seniors out there, there's a lot of reasons to consider cannabis as a medicine. It's something that you need to talk to your physician about if you haven't tried it yet. Don't go hog wild when you do get your marijuana. Take it easy, all right? If it's been since 1964 since you've lit up, no, it's not grandpa's weed anymore. That stuff's true when they say that. We got the real deal now, so you need to actually be paying attention to your dosage, and that's something that you can discuss with your caregiver. They'll help you with that. They'll let you know what appropriate dosage is, let you know what you're going to be safe with, so that way you don't fall into a state of paranoia. And even if you do get a little bit more high in a sense than what you want, you can do the simple things like eat something, drink something, there's sugar in it. There's a lot of ways to just sort of, in a sense, calm you down. But the best thing to know is that it's not going to have any type of long-term effect. It's not going to damage you. It's not going to kill you. It's a healthy thing. So check it out, and maybe grandma will be a little less worried about trying the reefer madness if she's looking for an alternative to some of those medications that she's getting at the doctor's office. So it's a good thing. All right. That's what I have for you this week. That's the news and the information I have for you. I appreciate you taking time with us here at allpointstv.com. I want to give a shout out to the other hosts and shows that we have here on the program as well at All Points TV, as we got a lot of valuable information. We just had recent sheriff candidate in here. I believe his name is Mr. Kroll.
Yes, correct.
He's a Republican candidate for Genesee County Sheriff. He was just in the office here in the studios at All Points TV doing a podcast talking about what he is all about. That's information that you can't get anywhere else. You're not going to see that on your local evening news because they just don't have time for that. All right, they're showing you, diaper commercials and prescription med crap. So, anyways, get off the tube, get in what's real. Go to allpointstv.com and check it out. All right. Join us here next week. Be on the podcast, the Genesee County Bass Club show.
You got your Watch Your Smoking.
Oh my gosh, I almost forgot about the 122nd episode.
Right.
John, you saved me, man. Guys, here we go. This is the 120 seconds. What a way to introduce. Got a new segment from Brian Orr. I believe it's called What You're Smoking. All right, guys, let's check it out. Here we go.
I'm Brian Orr, and this is G3C's 120 Seconds.
Welcome to the G3C 122nd segment. What are you smoking today? Let's get right to it, shall we?
It just tastes good to me.
How about we pass it between the three of us?
The camera or the joint?
The joint.
Smoking a little Girl Scout cookies, hanging out at G3C.
What are you smoking, George? Girl Scout cookies?
Girl Scout cookies. Girl Scout cookie at table 21. Have a little fun. Thanks, guys. Enjoy your day.
When it happened was, I met this girl in Mexico.
What are we smoking today? Strawberry Death Star.
Yum. Here we smoking an extendo right here. No, that was a good old session. That's how we do it here every day. Gotta have a heyday. We got Gorilla Glue 4 too. As you see, we smoking blunts and paper. You don't discriminate. To it. We dedicated to super strong OGAT. What you smoking on?
Whatever you guys are smoking.
There you go. Cameraman. Cameraman, baby. Might as well. And the host. Candy makes you dance.
Thanks, guys.
No problem.
Ready?
Yeah.
Smoking on some Nugrum Death Star with some Cornbread OG, Tahoe OG. Drink your milk, son. Drink your milk.
Oh, I hope you enjoyed this segment of What Are You Smoking Today? I'm Brian Orr, and this is G3C's 120 Seconds.
All right, awesome. That was definitely the best part of the show. Thank you, Brian. That was, I love it. All right, guys, that's this week's podcast. Thanks for hanging with me. Thanks for getting all the info. Spread the word. Contact your legislature. Live, laugh, love, but don't watch Julia Roberts movies. All right, see you guys later.